Welcome to She Rebel Radio, a community-driven podcast dedicated to supporting women to unlearn conventional rules and create businesses of significance. Each season, She Rebel Radio brings you insights and advice from noteworthy women entrepreneurs who strive to create more meaning, impact, and purpose. Now here is your host, Lulu Minns.
Welcome to episode 78 of She Rebel Radio, the realities of Resfest with Naomi Newland. Welcome ladies, today we are kicking off our She Rebel Radio Summer Retreat Series with Naomi Newland. She's the founder of Resfest, which is a one-day festival experience focused on women's well-being, with uplifting speakers, empowering workshops and lessons, even a nourishing pop-up spa. This is a festival which includes over 60 experiences, all designed by women to support women's health, mental wellness and emotional harmony. Naomi herself is a therapist and confidence coach, and we're going to be exploring the growth, impact and realities of 2020 on Resfest and Naomi as an event organiser during that time. I'm honoured to be delivering the 3 Keys to Self-Actualisation workshop at Resfest in 2021 after not being able to deliver my workshop in 2020. Naomi, it's amazing to have you. It's Resfest Friday and She Rebel Friday. How are you doing?
I'm awesome, thank you. Love a Friday vibe.
I know. I think we're definitely in synergy with the Friday vibe.
Definitely. It's been a busy old few weeks, so it's great.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, really looking forward to speaking to you today about the realities of Resfest and the joys of being an event organiser. And I'd love to start with, growing up in the 1990s, Britpop indie era, most festivals were centred around getting wrecked rather than well. What was your inspiration for creating a festival centred not only on wellness, but wellness specifically for women?
Oh gosh, it's such a great question. I feel there was just such a yearning that came from, it was more than me, this idea. I don't know if you're familiar with Elizabeth Gilbert and Big Magic. Oh, well, Resfest was one of those big magic ideas, but it would just not leave me alone. So I can't even take credit for having the idea as such. It felt like it came through me, and it would literally, I would dream about it. It would knock on my door. And I'd been working with women since my career began in the wellness world in 2010 as a hypnobirthing teacher. And that evolved and changed over time. And I was always looking for ways of bringing together a lot of empowering and inspirational content and ideas and people. Like, I love bringing people together. And so it just kind of was a natural evolvement from some pregnancy exhibitions that I used to organise. But it was so much bigger than that this idea, like I say, kept knocking on the door. And finally I had to just answer the call. And it's really weird because when I acknowledged it and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, everything just began to fall into place for it. So I don't know if you've ever had that where you just you cannot help but follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and I love that because it's kind of not a choice, is it? And how long did you kind of like ignore that niggle that was something that you should be doing, and perhaps why do we not listen when we hear it come up, do you think?
Wow, yeah, it was definitely, I remember as I was finishing up the pregnancy exhibition, so that was even back in 2015, saying to some friends, like, I've got this idea that keeps coming through me, and it's like, take the concept, but go into women's wellness, like make it like a retreat, but it's all pick and mix so that there's no fixed timetable, you get to choose. And everybody I spoke to poo-pooed the idea. They were like, that's never going to work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I live in Worthing, West Sussex. I'm along the road from Brighton, but it's quite a small, sleepy town at that time. It was, and everyone was like, I can't see it working. I can't see how you make money from it. I can't see how you'll get the people to go. I think the tickets would be too expensive. Just surrounded by negativity. And I let it get to me. I was like, oh, mate, they're right. They've got more experience than I. And I let other people talk me out of it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. And got letting the hows get in the way.
Totally that. Yes. Yeah, totally that. Like trying to think it through. And I guess coming back to the part of the question, like what changed? I retrained, and so I developed these incredible set of skills as a hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and emotional freedom practitioner. And on that course, I felt like I was being gifted like this almost blueprint to human happiness. I don't know if that sounds like massive, but I was like, oh my God, I feel like I have the secrets to share. And how can I share that with masses and masses of people rather than it just being me, one client at a time?
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, oh, okay, I have to do this now. Like, it felt like the calling, you know. Like,
and what have you learned in respect of that, you know, as you said, that big magic and ideas coming through you and almost not having a choice? Would you share that with people so early on again?
How do you mean so early on? So with the idea when it was still a little nurturing little seed of an idea?
Yeah, like that really fragile seed that you're like, oh, I'm not sure what to do with this. Have you got any advice for kind of listeners if they're in that space?
Yeah, I would definitely pick your audience, and that's something I've certainly learned as an entrepreneur. And in fact, now I know when I have an idea, who I float it by. If they disagree with me, now I know it's a great idea. Like, I reverse engineer it now.
Yeah, I like that.
Be really aware about whether these people, what their intentions are, because we all see life through different lenses, right? So be really aware of what lens they're looking at it through. And it's the whole male and feminine energies as well, isn't it? Like, men tend to, or their masculine energy tends to want a project plan and a profit prediction, and, you know, where's this going to be in 5 years and how many tickets are you going to sell? And I'm full of feminine energy, and I'm like, yeah, it just feels good, let's do it.
Yeah, and it can really, you know, I know with banks and, you know, accelerators and all of that kind of stuff can really get in the way a lot of that feminine energy of, you know, things being born into being and unfolding. And I know someone said to me really early on is don't take advice from people not in the arena.
Yeah, gold, that's it.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, be really careful who you speak to. Now, Resfest is about wellness for women. Why? What is it that why women, and what do you think women needed and do need outside of their everyday? And why did you feel that Resfest could really fill that space with a one-day event?
Yeah, it's a very political point, isn't it, about having women-only spaces at the moment. But for me, it really is the essence of RestFest, to have this safe, sacred space, because there are many women who don't feel comfortable, not all women, and I'm generalizing with gender terms here, but not all women feel that sense of safety and security to be able to do the kind of inner work that we do at RestFest, to be able to have their voice, to be able to talk about their hormones or their periods or their cycles or the experience of childbirth or sex or escaping domestic violence, even, you know, that along these kind of, and I'm not saying only women have these experiences, because we know that not to be true now, but having that safe space to be able to explore and undo and unravel some of their rawness, you know, and not having to worry about what other people think or say, or having that judgment-free space that I think just creates a sanctuary for women to want to be able to share and to be able to lose some of the shame around experiences that they have maybe been through, and to know that it's okay. We have women that come by themselves, we have women that come in groups, we have women who are petrified at coming to something like this, but they do so really bravely and courageously and have this incredible experience throughout the day. So it's really true to the Resfest spirit.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so important, isn't it, to recognise. I was listening to Mary Beard's Women in Power. Again, I read the book a while ago, but I was listening to it again. And, you know, she talks a lot about how, you know, the masculine or that we see authoritative speech and being heard as a masculine male thing, you know, in terms of politics, etc. And, you know, women are not used to having their views heard. And having those safe spaces to share what it is that comes up for us. And I think it's really important that is recognised and those spaces are created.
Yeah, definitely. We're singing the same tune here, honey.
So it was 2018 when the first RestFest actually happened. How did that all come about?
Yes, so I had like the moment I decided, okay, I'm going to do this, I kind of had a venue in mind, and I phoned up, and they only had one Saturday left, like in their whole calendar, and it happened to be the kind of time I was thinking of, and I was like, well, that's the sign. So I was like, it's got to happen. And so yeah, that was October 2018. We had the very first event.
Amazing. So you had as you said, there was this one space in the diary, it fitted in with what you wanted, and you saw that as a real sign. What were the kind of highs and lows and reality for you in preparing this first time RestFest event that had been festering away for kind of 3 years by the sounds of it, of something that you really wanted to do?
So I think the beauty of it was, and the magic of it was, the speed and the momentum at which we gathered an incredible team together in terms of presenters and people that wanted to be involved. It really, the life of RestFest, just like a rolling kind of ball, just gathered all these incredible women like Velcro to us straight away. And so we built just this super studied team of people that had the same ethos as us, that had messages to share, that really wanted to get involved. And that just gave me so much faith really early on that we were onto something really beautiful. Mm-hmm. That was resonating with a lot of people. And so the reality of organising the actual event was quite simple and straightforward, and I was just never failed to be a little bit more blown away and a little almost starstruck by some of the women who are like putting their hands up to be involved. I was like, wow, this is so cool, this is so fun. And then the reality, I guess the more trickier side of it is then the marketing of it and getting people to also share your vision. Like, I've got this thing, it's going to be in a barn and it's going to take place all day. And it was very hard to find the words to explain it when we hadn't yet facilitated it. It was just still this energetic idea. And we managed it fairly well. I think our first event, we had 100 women in attendance. And so that was really, really special, just bringing everyone together. I was completely overwhelmed by the whole experience and just spent most of the day whooping and shrieking because I was like, I haven't got words to explain how magical and how brilliant it just felt to take something from that seed of an idea into reality. It's just a beautiful process, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I remember hosting my first retreat in Morocco, and it seemed like a real flyaway comment when I said I wanted to host a retreat there, and then hearing the Riyadh fill up with my clients and them laughing and connecting with each other. But I also just, it sounds like as well, when you really went for it in 2018 and were kind of more solid within yourself within that, people reflected that back to you in terms of supporting the idea. But also what's really interesting there is you said but I'm still kind of struggling to articulate it and market it to other people, which again is quite an indication, isn't it, of that real vision and that quite feminine leadership that sometimes we can find it hard to explain to other people.
Yes.
What it is that I've got a course, the 24 Principles to Feminine Success, and I've worked with coaches on this, a good few years ago, and I still couldn't explain what the course was, but I knew it was powerful for my clients, but it was really hard to market it.
Yeah, I totally get that, because we really limit experiences, don't we, by trying to verbalize them as well. I don't know if you find that with your retreats, like the words just don't exist, like in any combination. You have to describe what happens on retreat or in a festival, because it's just, sometimes it's just magic, isn't it? That's the best word I can come up with, magic.
Yeah, and it's energetic, it's embodied, it's vibrational, it's all of that stuff, isn't it? So yeah, how do we put it into quite a linear term, which marketing can feel very linear sometimes? Yeah,
definitely.
So you had 100 beautiful women in 2018, and then your next RestFest, was that 2019, or did you do 2 in 1 year?
Yeah, we were pretty ambitious. I think I got a taste of it and I was like, right, let's do this again, and we're going to be every 6 months. Most festivals, and I see now with hindsight, give themselves a year to recover. and, you know, roll it out again and be ready energetically, because, you know, it is an incredible undertaking. But we were bold. We were like, okay, we're going to do this again and build on the momentum. I think that's what I felt like. A year felt like a long time. So we went again in 6 months later, which was March 2019. We grew, like, the word of mouth and the energy behind Resfest was just such this beautiful thing. Women brought their friends, they recommended us. It was just amazing. Started to, everywhere I went, I used to wear flowers in my hair. So everyone would be like, oh, you're the Resfest woman, you know, really started to build up some kind of credibility, and people recognised who we were, what we stood for. And it was just really in flow, you know, and things just unfold beautifully. So we had 250 women join us in March 2019.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you said you were, you know, and I think I recognised you with the flowers, and when we met at Brighton Collab, etc. And we just shout out to Gemma, because I know we just mentioned Gemma. What you said, like, people knew what we stood for. How did you get clear about what you stood for, and what does Resfest stand for?
Wow, it's quite an interesting experience, actually. Again, it's one of these marketing things that we didn't realise what we were doing at the time. It felt very intuitive. But at the very first event, we asked everyone to set intentions for what they were there for the day for. And we had these beautiful, like, package labels that they wrote them on, and we hung them in this big flowered pagoda where the opening ceremony had taken place. And we ended up with all these labels at the end. And I was like, what should we do with these? And we started kind of almost analysing them and getting the data from them, and realised they fell into 4 kind of clear pillars. And they were empowerment, rest, joy and inspiration. And so they became the running themes for the future Resfest. And then everything was kind of brought into, does it tick these boxes? Does it tick more than one of these boxes? And became like a litmus test for whether it was Resfest kind of material.
I love that. Yeah. And the natural evolution of that it actually just happened that you created those values.
Yeah, it came from the women there. It wasn't something that we just plucked out of the air. It was what women were demanding and asking for, and what they came for. So it felt very in line. Yeah, very natural.
Yeah, perfect. So 2020, as we know, was a disaster for events and retreats. Resfest, I know, was in fact on the Sunday before lockdown, and for lockdown here in the UK, that is, and cancelled just hours before it was due to start. What was the impact of that for you, you know, financially, business-wise, but also emotionally and personally?
Oh my gosh. I think maybe a year and a bit on, I might almost be able to talk about this without crying, because it has been the challenge of my life. And I say that also with a nod to realizing how privileged that I am, that if this has been the biggest struggle that I've ever had in my life, then I've been pretty blessed so far. But it has been, the impact has just rippled through every single area of my life. And I knew it was going to be, it was a tough decision to make. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was going to be painful and expensive and difficult, but it also felt like the right thing to do. Yeah. I had no idea, like any of us, you know, we had no idea what we were dealing with. And so when I thought we were postponing the event for a couple of months, and it's actually turned out to be, now it will be 2 years since we've had an event, when we actually managed to do it in 2021 in October. But it's overwhelming when I look back on it. But not just the question, coming back to like being really specific about how it impacted me, I feel like it's been the most incredible lesson as well, because it pushed me to do things that I would never have normally had to do, well outside my comfort zone, to then get the big nudge that I needed to focus on my own business. When I created Resfest, it was that almost came from a place where I didn't feel confident enough almost to hold the space by myself. So bringing in this dream team was an incredible, very confidence building experience for me. Yeah. And so the knock-on effect that's now had for me is realizing that actually I can hold the space by myself, because when the rest of the festival fell away as such. It was just me dealing with it. I didn't have a team. I didn't have anybody else. I was like, okay, this lands firmly on your shoulders, Naomi. Now you got to step up. So it has been an incredible personal development experience for myself as well. It's been very expensive, but that's meant that I just had to get on and find solutions to be able to ensure the future success of Resfest, and we've come through that now. So I've learned to lean into trust because that's all I had left. Was you've got a choice: either you fold and you go down with it, kind of thing, and it would have taken me down emotionally, or you find a way to fight through. And so it really has really has built up my fighting spirit, definitely. And I think being one of the first events to be impacted, I also felt a little bit of responsibility to be able to do it with grace. There wasn't an always graceful, but a lot of people looking to me at what I was doing at that time. And so that again came with an enormous sense of responsibility, because I was the kind of bit like, I don't know, I'm just a girl with flowers in my hair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I say sometimes, the responsibility trigger for us as women sometimes in terms of, really leading the way and showing others how it can be done. And you were really kind of like in that gap, weren't you, of things weren't officially cancelled, but that it was all looking like that's the way it was going. And that's a really difficult call to make. And you haven't actually got, it's kind of, I'm not saying it's easy for other people when the government shut it down, but when it's shut down, it's shut down. But you had to really make a decision before that had happened. So
the judgment call. I'll forever remember screaming my head off on the beach, like, I don't know what to do, and having to make a split decision. Yeah, it was a challenge, but like I say, there are blessings that have been born from that too.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it, focusing more on your business and that confidence and that, really stepping into that leadership as well. What support and help did you receive from the Resfest fans and attendees? And I always have to ask, because it's me, are there any horror stories of people that you had to deal with that you can share?
Yeah, do you know what? I am one of the greatest gifts is just realizing how many awesome women I was surrounded by, in terms of just the outpouring. I think if anybody's bored and wants to go back, but if you go back to social media when I announced the very difficult decision that I'd been forced to make, like the outpouring of love was unbelievable. Like my team and I, MJ and I, and the other girls, we were all sobbing. We were all like just emotional wrecks. And just to have that outpouring of love that was consistent throughout the year has been, really shows you that it's okay, we can lean into trust, because there's no stronger emotion than the love that the community showed. And that's been unwavering in so many cases. Mm-hmm. There has been some difficult times as well. Mm-hmm. Alongside that, there has been some challenges, and that has really been the lesson. I think I'm a really rose-tinted glasses kind of girl, and I just presumed that everybody was going to back me and that it was going to be all right. And actually, the truth of the matter is that it wasn't as simple as that. Mm-hmm. And so there has been some really difficult, I've been to court with a few related incidents and things, and that made me have to question, where are my values? What do I stand for here? How far do I go with having values as well? Like, how true to my heart are they? And again, like I say, this personal development journey of my life. So there has been a lot of difficulties. Yeah, but we're coming through them smiling with grace and just an absolute appetite to take those learning experiences. And we know that the people that have fallen away from the project now weren't really a true alignment with our vision and what we you know, the energy that we're going to be holding in October as well. So
and there's that, isn't there? I think, you know, I've been saying throughout this whole experience of the pandemic, you know, it's kind of there's no disrespect to some people, it's made people more of who we already are. So, you know, those that want to share more love and compassion are doing that, and those that want to step into more fear and control and all of that kind of stuff, then that's happening as well. So we just have to kind of stand our ground with that, don't we, and see how things unfold.
Yeah, definitely the lesson of my life.
And learn the lessons to protect ourselves, for sure. But, you know, I know Gemma and I, we host our retreats. You know, we you know, only had 8 people coming to our retreats, but, you know, they're very small and intimate, but flying over, you know, from Holland and things like that. And it was we had throughout that week, I was like, I think we need to cancel the retreat, because it was the following weekend, right? And we were like, no, we want to do it. And then by the Wednesday, we were like, no, it's, you know, we're not going ahead with it. So, you know, it's really difficult, let alone, I mean, you must have sold hundreds of tickets probably for that one.
Yeah, there was 500 people due. So it was a ton. Not only having to make this really difficult, we were all set up. We had never been, so we were like so chuffed with ourselves because we were so set up. We had the hotel set up, like everything was ready to go. And then the aftermath, I cannot tell you the aftermath. Like, I've still got 500 swag bags in cupboards around my house. Every time I open up a cupboard, and I get knocked on the head by a swag bag. But just the mop up, the after effects as well of not being able to do that administratively, you know, physically having to go and take the festival apart. Like, Well, I was
going to say, because it was, you know, you were a few years in, you're probably the most organised and ready that you've ever been, and for bigger numbers, and then that happens. And I know, you know, I remember how last minute was, because I hadn't actually done the full prep for my workshop, which is quite typical of me, but I work very intuitively. And then got the message it wasn't going ahead, and was just like, wow. And my heart went out to you, because I was like, wow, they must have been, it was hours before, wasn't it?
Yeah, literally 24 hours. It just escalated so quickly. We honestly thought we'd set up, we were going to do it, and sadly, I think there's some events I can't really talk about publicly happened on the Friday evening that made it impossible for me to go ahead. So
it's you know, none of us knew what we were facing, really, did we? You know, what's been the impact of the pandemic on women, full stop, do you think? And has that made Resfest even more important than she was before? Because she's an entity in her own right?
Yeah, definitely so. And I think, and I don't want to generalise here, because I think there's been also an awful lot of gentlemen, guys, folks stepping up and having to think creatively about how they live their lives. But I also recognise that women have had to take on more than ever. You know, it's already the emotional load that women carry, especially if they have children or caring responsibilities, that worry and that strain of, you know, worrying about your children or worrying about your parents or worrying about your neighbours, as well as potentially doing your job, homeschooling your children, not being able to get to the shops, and like everything changed. And I am seeing my clients in my community, I don't know about you, Louise, tell me, but like now the after effects are really beginning to show that women have held it together as well as they could, and now it's like, shit, I can almost like let everything go now and be honest that this has been the challenge of my life.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, that holding that emotional space for everyone, and then but then also like the extra physical demands on women, which, you know, as we know, the book Invisible Women, 75% of the world's unpaid work is completed by women. That probably went up to 90%. And the childcare and everything else, and trying to run businesses. It's just been not good for the women's movement and the rising. Yet we have seen a rising, I think, which is undeniable, of women as well, haven't we?
Yeah, certainly. I know, working in the coaching world as well, just watching women, a lot of women really flourish in this space as well, has been given this gift of time as well that we sometimes might not have been able to find. It's been a real beautiful thing to watch some women flourish as well in this space.
Yeah, because there has been, in some respects, hasn't there, that ease of, if you have got 3 children and you're ferrying them to this class and that class and, all over the place, there's been a little bit of respite from that. So you are back. RestFest is finally happening, as you say, like 2 years after the last one in October 2021. I'm really honoured to finally be delivering a workshop as well. What do we look forward to, and how can we support RestFest being back?
Oh, well, thank you for this question, because it's, in one hand, it's really beautiful because we have so much of it organised already. It doesn't feel as stressful as it does. So we have this incredible smorgasbord, I like to call it, of amazing activities throughout the whole day. It's a real pick and mix affair. So we have everything from kind of laughter yoga through to choir dancing, like we always have a proper rave up with Kate and Megan, the choir girls, through to relationships and sexology. There's a real creative buzz as well. So all of that work is pretty much done because we're rolling over from the previous event. Mm-hmm. And I think where we could really do with some support now is there is a massive financial black hole in there. So we're like very short on budget. Usually we would have money to advertise and spread the word that way, but that was all allocated to the previous festival. So it really is a plea to everybody and anybody that is feeling the call for a restful, joyful, inspirational, empowering day to come and check us out and tell their friends, particularly if you're business owners and you might be a potential sponsor as well, and you want to get in front of 500 incredible women with an appetite for learning and their wellness. There's an opportunity definitely there for a bit of collaborations as well, is what we're looking for, to help us really put on an event that's tenfold better than what it would have been in March. That's what we want to make sure, that everything we've learned from this experience we're packaging up and adding in with extra sprinkles of glitter and love and dancing and laughter to make it super, super, super special. I know for sure it's going to go absolutely off. Women have never needed this as much in their lives as right now, so it's going to be electric.
Yeah, it will. It's going to be such a celebration, isn't it? And coming together. So we will put all the links below so people can purchase their tickets or share, with the women that would love to come. You can share this podcast episode as well to, spread the word of RestFest and to support women coming together. Are you bringing the old swag bags, or are there going to be some new ones, or both?
Oh, a bit of both. I'm feeling we have the outer bags, but we're looking to fill the contents because it's been 2 years, so we're totally available for swag bag collaborations and joy. We've got a bit, I'm not sure if you've seen our swag bags, they're like a running collection. They're very motivationally themed every time, so all hardcore fans, of which there are many, are like, come on, we need bag number 4 to add to the collection. So
they're collecting them. Love it.
Yes, they're iconic. I joke that those that were at the first RestFest, in 10 years' time, are going to be telling, the everyone there, I was at the first one, darling.
Yeah, they will, telling their daughters and all sorts of, or it might be like, I went to an exhibition in Brighton a couple of years ago, and it had like all the old, music scene, and my mum's like, oh, I swear I knew that bloke in that photo. That would be with the women's movement. They'll be in like cabinets and stuff in years to come.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, definitely. That's the goal. Make them memorabilia in museums.
Exactly. Hold the vision. Amazing to have you here, Naomi. Anything else that you want to share before we go?
Oh, just anyone that wants to continue the conversation about how to have a really amazing personal development journey with a whole load of fun, glitter and dancing, then just reach out on the socials. I know you're going to link them, but come and find us at RestFest. Like, we love to chat. We really do. We love to tell stories. We love to hear stories. So come and connect. We really would like to grow our community. And I've been so honoured. It's been so much fun, Lulu. It's been great chats. And it's been lovely hearing about your retreats. And we can't wait to have you host a workshop for us. Super exciting times.
Yeah, I can't wait. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for bringing the glitter today, and we will speak soon.
Joyful. Thank you so much, Lulu. Lots of love.
Thanks for listening to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for women unlearning conventional rules and creating their businesses of significance. She Rebel Radio is executive produced by award-winning coach and advocate Lulu Minns. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're feeling social, find Lulu Minns and the She Rebel Radio community using the links below.